really symbolizes exactly what I'm trying to say here. So I'm gonna go into the story now. An Indian chief, getting very old now, in his late 70s, early 80s possibly. He's getting old now, and he needs to find a new chief in one of his three sons. And so he decides that the fairest way to do so is not by age, but by a race. And he says, I want you guys to run around the village with burning embers in your clamshell, and the first person to get back with the burning embers will be the new chief. So what he does is he says, go, and all of a sudden, the oldest son breaks out to a huge lead, and everybody thinks that he's the favorite at this point, and he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and all of a sudden he comes across an old man, and an old man has some meat, but he can't quite chew it. He doesn't have teeth. He doesn't have the teeth to do so, so he says, the oldest son, can you help me out? I need you to cook my meat so I can eat it. I'm very hungry. And so what he does, the oldest son just zooms by him. He hardly even gives him a second look. Next, the second son comes by. He comes by that same old man, and the old man asks him the same question. And the second son really liked to help him, but he just can't. He can't. He says, I'm in a race. I can't do it. So he continues. And then comes the youngest son, and the youngest son behind by a lot at this point already. And the old man asks him that same question. And what happens is the youngest son feels his sympathy, and he says, I'll do it. And so he makes the fire, and with his burning embers, he helps cook the meat, and the old man has a meal. And so the race continues now, the youngest son way behind, but the oldest son manages to reach another landmark in the story, and it's an old woman with a baby, a newborn baby, that needs some heat. It's very cold out, and so she says, can I use your embers to build a fire for my baby? And the oldest son says, no, just blatantly says no, doesn't do the right thing, walks right by and runs on by and onto the race. And then the second son comes by and does pretty much the same thing with a little more of a nice way to say it, I guess you could say that. And then the youngest son comes by and he says, why, sure, I'll help you out. And he takes the embers from the previous fire and puts them in a new fire and makes a huge fire for the woman. And after they're satisfied with that, he runs by, and now he's way behind at this point. But it's coming to the end of the race, and everybody knows that now. It's all over, and the oldest son comes in, and he pulls past the finish line, and the crowd cheers, and everybody's going crazy, and they think this must be the new chief. And so everybody looks, and he's cheering, and he's pounding his fist. But when he looks in his clamshell, in utter despair, he does not have any clamshell with embers in it. He doesn't have one with him, and he's disappointed. But as he's walking off in despair, in comes the second brother, and the second brother, they're going, oh, this must be our new chief. And he opens up the clamshell into the same exact thing. He doesn't have any embers in there, and it's kind of disappointing for everyone else. So now they think, oh, the youngest son must be the last one, and he must be our last chief for at least 80 years. And so he comes on by, and in a terrible time he does it, but he does it with clamshell filled with embers. And what happens is he opens the embers to a glowing fire, glowing embers. And so he opens up the shell, he shows everyone, and they realize this is their new chief. And honestly, what I take from that story, I think all you guys should take from this story, is that it means to do the right thing. It's not if you're the fastest or most athletic here at camp. It's what you do to make yourself be remembered here. And it's really what I do to come back every year. And I do the right thing every year by coming back and teaching everybody about this clamshell story. I think everybody really knows what it means at this point. And I think it's something everybody should cherish because they all know what it means. I know what it means. We all know what it means to do the right thing.